We don't take advice from people we don't trust. The moment that person steps out, your entire business falls apart. You can become very efficient on doing things wrong way. I don't believe in words. I don't believe in sayings. I believe in numbers. Numbers don't lie. If you never had an operations manager in your business, you should definitely try it, because if you're going to ask yourself why you didn't did it early.
Welcome to Inside EdgeOS. It's where we go behind the scene with people who installing the systems that move your business forward, so it stop depending on you for everything. And today my guest is an operation manager who knows on our team for how fast she absorbs a business. She walked into a coaching company she had never seen and learned an entire CRM she had never used, and within her first week she already mapped how the whole company processes goes. And she also the one who turned in AI on a company-owned sales calls to figure out exactly which leads are worth chasing. Today, I am with Milena. For business owners who are watching us right now, could you please introduce yourself? Tell us about more where you're from, what you're doing, like what is your hobbies, what do you do in the life?
Absolutely. Hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Milena. I am from Brazil. I am based in Rio and I work as an operational manager. My hobbies are hiking. I really like nature, sports, and I am a really curious person. And I really like the sun, good weather, having connections with people, and that's about it.
Wow, I never been in Brazil, but I really want to go because I know that in Brazil, all people are so beautiful. The big culture of sport you have there, right?
Yeah, especially in Rio, we really like sports around here. Every day if you go outside, you're gonna see people running on the streets, riding the bikes, a lot of sports everywhere. So yeah, we really like that. And I also really like that about Brazil and Rio.
Have you ever visited this carnival? Because Brazil is so popular about this Brazilian carnival, which happening every year. Have you ever been there?
Yeah, absolutely. The carnival actually happens in all the cities. We have cities who are more famous for it, like has the biggest one, but every city in Brazil has their own carnival with their own parades, and you're gonna have multiple parades happening in the city at the same time and the same day. So it's like a huge big national party. It's the best.
Okay, what was the craziest thing which happened to you during carnival? Like maybe something like the most interesting.
Lord. I remember one day I was in Carnival in Lapa. Lapa is a really famous neighborhood in Rio. Everyone that comes visit it goes to Lapa, or they even stay in Lapa in the hotel. So we have the really famous arcs. There are like a big structure and it's really cultural for us. When it was on Carnival, a guy that was dressed as a Superman he climbed until the top of the arch and was like dancing and celebrating and then a bunch of people just start following him, and before you notice there were like I think like 20 people on top of the arch just dancing and making the party on top of there.
It's nice. It's nice. No, Brazil, it's crazy country. I need to visit one day. But it's also dangerous for women. How do you feel in Rio, by the way? Do you feel that something can happen every time? It's like a crazy place, or it's more chill and calm, so you don't really see this part of Brazilian Rio life?
So I think like I'm not gonna say Rio is not a dangerous place because it is a dangerous city. This is true. But also a lot of people think that just like everywhere in Rio is going to be unsafe. And it's not how it works. It's just like any other big city. So you go to Paris, you have a lot of pickpockets. And it's Paris because it's a big city, it's the most touristic city. So if you are on the really touristic points and sides of the city, it's going to be a little bit more dangerous. But if you come, like I am not from the city of Rio, I'm from Niterói, that is on the state of Rio, but is close to the city of Rio. And Niterói, for being not so touristic and a little bit of a smaller city, is way more calm and safe. For me as a woman, I never felt in danger. The thing I think anyone fears the most is being robbed. So I don't even think like the worst thing is like against us women's safety, but you just protect your phone and don't forget about your purse while you're walking around.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. I've been in Italy, and Italy, I think maybe it's even more crazy than Rio. There, you should be very, very careful with your stuff. Thank you. I can speak about countries very long, but let's come back into our topic. Let's speak a bit about the business and stuff because you have a reputation in our team that you absorbing a whole business incredibly fast. What was really impressive for everyone. Where do you think that came from? Like, from where do you have that kind of skill?
I think that is from my personality and because of my curiosity. So I bring this just not only on my work, on my professional life. This is something I bring for my personal life. I am a really, really curious person and I like understanding how things actually work instead of just performing a task, let's say. So for everything I do, everything I learn, I like to really, really understand that. I am curious. I go for it. I search for it. I don't stop myself on only following tasks. So just for an example, let's say like you tell me, "Hey Milena, can you call this person and sell this to her?" I'm
Mhm.
not only gonna call, I'm gonna try to understand like okay, so how do you usually talk? What is the best way to call? What is the best way to talk to this person to the objective I want to achieve? And what is the best method? I start wondering, being curious, and this automatically leads me into thinking in ways I can improve and also helps me to learn things really fast.
I think it's great skill for operations manager, especially when business is such a mess and you don't have a time, like to think long about the life and what does it mean. Okay, let's go next. You walked into the company and like almost in 1 week you had learned about CRM. And can you tell me what's the actual process when you have get up that speed that very fast when you go into company?
So, my process is putting my hand into it. First thing I do is understanding what the company uses the CRM for because this make it way easier to understand what you actually gonna have to learn because you know what they use it, what they're gonna use for. So after I understand that, I start exploring. I watch training videos. I am not afraid of trying and I'm not afraid of asking questions. So as soon as I see a new CRM, I don't treat that like something like, oh, this is so hard. How will I be able to learn all this? I know what is the purpose. I know what is made for. So it's all about getting familiar with. So you start exploring, you start watching videos. If you have questions, ask. Don't stop on the point where like you gonna wait until somebody comes and tell you how to do something and tell you what you need to do. Try to find that for yourself and then you can confirm. And in the majority of the time, you're gonna be correct and people gonna get impressed that you figure out by your own instead of just waiting for somebody to tell you.
Definitely. I think business owners with who our team working with, they are the kind of people who are waiting to tell us what to do next. They looking for this help for sure. And when you speak with like a people, when you introduce yourself and like what they think you do versus that this really in real life what you're doing. It's like some difference between of these two meanings.
Yeah, I think when people think about the operational manager, they think about filling out spreadsheets and, making tasks and filling spreadsheets and only administrative work. This is what the majority of the people think that I'm doing. And actually, it's not about that. It's about designing how the business run. It's about finding bottlenecks, finding what is the biggest contrast that the owner is going through right now, where things can grow and what is the best way of improve what is already good. So that's the biggest difference. We don't only execute tasks or fill out spreadsheets. We
Mhm.
actually turn your business into a structured, operational, and running system.
I think if you make some metaphorism, like when you're playing games on computer and you find this booster elixir, you just drink it and your business go faster. I think we can compare this work what operations manager do with that kind of a booster for business, which make all processes more clear, better, and give business x5, x10 of performance. Walk me through the real first week of installing when you start working. Like you had never seen company before, you didn't know about this company a lot, and how does your day one, day two, day three, like your first week of working, how does it look like?
So, the first thing I prioritized was understanding the business, understanding the industry I was going to start working for, because that's really important for me. I think that different industry gonna have different clients, they're gonna have different systems, and they're gonna have different approach. So, first thing, I started understanding the business. Who are the clients for those business? Who are the partners? What is the most important? What is the biggest flaws for those type of business? So that was the thing I focused it on learning on my first day. Other than also learning the team, learning what are the goals, and aligning with the business owner of what would be the next steps and what would we be focusing on the first weeks of implementing the process. So on day two, I start learning the systems and the CRM. This company I work for, they have a lot of SOPs. So it was really useful on the first days because I just read them all and they really helped me actually understand what is the business cultural fit. So the second day was basically learning the CRMs and reading the documentations. So from day three, I started actually mapping the workflows, understand the hands-offs, and connect everything together. And day four and five was basically seeing what was I missing, understanding better how does the process actually work, and adjusting, revising so it could actually start looking similar to what workflow was actually being done inside the company.
But the first thing what you did, it was mapping the workflow and all processes inside of company. Why did you decide start from mapping the things, not going and start doing all tasks which you have?
When you start doing tasks instead of mapping it first, you can become very efficient on doing things wrong way. So, just as a metaphor, let's say I ask you to bake me a cake. So, if I ask you to bake me a cake, but I don't hand you the recipe, you can bake this cake the way you want. You can make it a strawberry, a chocolate, a vanilla cake. You may add some ingredients more, some ingredients less. You can end up with a horrible cake. But if I hand you the recipe, if I hand you the formula, the chances of you giving me not what I want is way smaller. So this is the same when we talk about operation systems. If you don't have a system, it's easy to do things wrong. It's easy to forget and it's easy to let things pass without anyone seeing. But when you have a clear and structured workflow, it's way easier to follow things and not missing any steps and actually having a standard work every time and actually performing the work in the best way possible.
Yeah, now I got you. I got this process. But when you sit down and really start to look into this business and how does it work, what you decide it's needed most to grow inside of company with who you work with? What was this first thing which you understood we need to work there and improve?
So from this company, I start noticing at first view, it looked like it was a lead acquisition bottleneck. It looked like the lead acquisition process was the one who needed more attention. But after I start analyzing, I saw that we had actually a pretty consistent lead acquisition process. And pretty good amount of leads coming in every day. So I start noticing that the bottleneck that was keeping the business from growing the most was the sales process. So we start from there. I start working on ideas, on ways of improving our closing process. So I started drafting ideas, discussing with the business owner, trying to figure out what works better. And this was from there, we started actually putting some things in action in order to improve that process.
Nice, nice. It's really great. You have a phrase like a brain with 1,000 hands. Could you please explain for people who watching us right now what does it mean? Because I'm sure like almost 90% of people who are here today and watch our podcast, they're this brain with 1,000 hands.
So, the brain with 1,000 hands is basically when everything lives inside the owner's head. The business can scale because you become that one point of contact where everyone goes for every little thing that goes off the track. And this keep the business owners from focusing on the most important, their business growth. So, when you have a structure like the EdgeOS structure, the things stop being only on your head. They start being into systems who are reliable and that can be executed by any of your employees. So you stop being the only source of liability and you start relying into a clear structured process.
Yeah, yeah, for 100% for sure. And also, how much are you talking with the owner versus you are figuring out things and structure and business stuff? Like, how often do you have a call? Are you talking between each other and discuss what to do next?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a weekly meeting where we go over the entire work of the week. So we define priorities, we revise everything that was done, we see what needs to be improved or what needs to be revised, and then we set the goal for the next week. Other than that, we keep daily communication so I can ask questions, give ideas, suggestions, ask, hey, do you guys think this is working? And they can say yes, no, I think there's better way to do it. But definitely communication is super important in this position because we need to actually understand how things are done from the people that actually execute the tasks. So I can be imagining how things are done and they can be beautiful in my head, but only the people who actually do it are the one capable of telling me what actually works and what doesn't work and what is done and what is just ideally done but never performed.
By the way, I want to start discuss the topic. You had this great idea with using AI. So with AI tool, you figure out like which leads are actually worth to chasing them. But instead of scraping the internet and go and find information there, you go a different route. Could you please walk me through this process and your idea with AI leads?
Yes. So that idea came exactly from the problem I mentioned a few questions ago. We noticed that the problem was not lead acquisition, it was the sales, it was the closing that was keeping us from achieving the goal we were going for. So from there, I start thinking about the problem. What was the problem? Everyone's wants better leads. Most company buy lists or they just guess and they ignore the data they already have. What I did was use the AI on sales call recordings, extract the objections, find the patterns, and define a kind of ideal profile of the people who are most willing to buy and to acquire our product. So the way that this would impact is because we have better targeting. So we can actually focus on attention on the leads that are most valuable, who are most showing the most signals of actually closing a deal. So instead of keeping our attention in all the leads that come in, we can keep our attention on the leads that actually matter and people who doesn't show sign they are ready and they are not leads that will probably move forward, we can just keep them as nurtures leads getting automated content. So the whole point of this AI system would be qualifying leads, so we could start actually spending our time and attention on the best leads, on the most qualifying, and start improving and increasing our closing rates.
But why is that you think that this much more powerful than just buying a list?
So, for this specific type of business, I'm talking about a business advisor. So,
Hmm.
when you think about a business advisor, you think like, what are the main thing the customers are looking for? Same thing, just another metaphor, restaurants. What are the main thing you look for when you go to a
Food.
restaurant? You look
You
for
want
delicious food.
maybe some entertainments like nice show. Depends.
Yeah. Depends, but I think like the main thing, you want delicious food. You want
Yeah.
to eat a delicious food. That's why you go to a restaurant. So when you want a business, when you want an advisor, what is the first thing you need to for this advisor? You need to
You want
trust him.
advice?
Yeah, you want to advise,
It could
but
be,
you only
yeah,
take
it could be
advice.
trusted person, I think. Someone who you can really trust in this question, who has reputation.
Exactly. We don't trust people that I'm sorry, we don't take advice from people we don't trust. So to just buy a code list and start reaching out to people that don't even know who we are, this would not be efficient to our type of business. But on the other side, we had so many people that already know who we are, that already know about our business, that already trust my business owner and the advisor. So the thing was, we didn't have enough hands to dedicate all the time that we needed to reach out to all these people. So this where the AI scoring came from, because then we could actually start classifying, because all of them, they trust us. Great. Perfect. That's the main difference between just buying a list and doing the scoring. And now, not only we gonna reach to people that trust in us, but we're gonna reach for the ones that are showing the strong no intent of actually closing a deal. So this saves times, and time is money. So this save money, and this actually makes the business start escalating, and each time targeting the ideal audience.
Okay, I got you. And if you start talking about money, because I agree the time is money, and for business owners who looking for operations manager and in general for business, the most important. If your business doesn't make money, it's not a business, it's your hobby, which just take your money. So for business owners who watching us today, what's gonna be your advice? We already start to talk about leads and the leads. What you can give like a useful tips that business owner can implement today inside of their businesses. What it will be?
Okay. The one advice I would give to all business owner would be, take your business out of people's head. Put your business into paper, put your business into structure, because what we were just talking about, the brain with 1,000 hands, it's not the only thing that can, let's say, break a business. I think other thing that's so common and it happens a lot is having key employees where all the information, everything that is done, all that process is also kept inside a key employee. So sometimes we have the business owner who knows everything, and then we have the key employees that are the only ones who knows everything other than the business owner. So you have your entire company and your entire business running on top of people that can just leave by tomorrow. So put your business on paper, create a structure, and this will avoid you having double work. It will avoid being completely dependent of a key employee, and the moment that person steps out, your entire business falls apart. This can will prevent you of so many things. This is the best advice I think I could give. Put your business on paper. Don't let on everyone's head.
Nice advice, guys. Please write it down. We have amazing operations manager. You know where to find it. Anyway, stop advertisement. We have today more questions. You're building scorecard for company with who you work with, and you separate every step of the sales process. I'm curious, why does it work good, and what why it's important to separate every step like that if you want to see where the money is being lost.
Because we need to understand what is actually happening. We need data. When we don't have data, we start making assumptions, and assumptions can lead us to the wrong way. The only way of actually getting accurate data and actually understanding what is keeping your business from making more money is by breaking everything down and actually seeing all the parts of the process, because is what everyone say, numbers don't lie. So I don't believe in words. I don't believe in sayings. I believe in numbers. And I think we should all do that, because when you have data and when you have numbers, you start seeing that the things just start showing right in front of your face. They are no longer a question mark anymore. They start being something solid that you can actually identify and start working on improving.
Okay, I fully agree with you 100%. If an owner will hire you tomorrow as an operations manager, what's the first thing they should hand you in week one of installing?
First, can I say first things? Because I would say as much information you can. Give me access to everything, to all your systems, to everything that is on your head, to all your plans, to all your goals. Make me understand why you are hiring me. Because the only way I can do something for your business is if you make me understand that what are your needs and what are your goals. Access for all the CRMs, sheets, all the materials, any materials, just basically throw everything about your business on our back, because we need to understand in order to start performing a great work.
But it's a lot of information about company, and I'm sure it's some people who more like paranoid about information and leaking all of this inside company's stuff. Did you sign the NDA contract with company with who you work with as an operation manager?
Yeah, yeah, of course. We sign NDA contracts so the client can be comfortable in sharing everything he shares with me.
And for how long this contract? I'm just curious, like for how many years, or is like until I mean, the last day of your life, like forever, or it's like 5 years.
It's usually it is for how long I still work with the company. So from the moment I no longer work with them, all the information that I got from them, I cannot share.
Ah, sure. But company with who you work with, it's like really good organized. They have SOPs, they have files, everything pretty structured. Does this make your job easier, or still it just moves the real problem somewhere else? How do you see?
Do think it made my job easier. I think that really depends on the way you see it. I didn't use the SOPs as my absolute guide. It was more of a way of a place to check information, and also where I start understanding the cultural fit of the company. So it helped me more like having an overview of everything I was going to deal with, but I wouldn't say it make it any harder or had made me have any problems, because with that in mind, I still knew that I needed to focus in implementing the systems that we implement on EdgeOS, and saying so it did make my job a little bit easier, but I didn't rely on it for everything that I was doing. So it really helped me on terms of I had a lot of information. I could just go there and consult instead of having to ask every single thing that would I would may have a question. But I think that it was also important for me to not only rely 100% on that, to also have my own view and my own thinking, and to also think outside of the box for a little bit, because I didn't see the SOPs and automatically assume that everything would just be the same. I use these SOPs also to identify where we could improve, because they were great, but they could be amazing.
It's always some gaps to get more amazing, more perfect, especially if you're perfectionist, of course. And how does your work actually turn into more money for business? if we talking not like abstract stuff or general stuff, but exactly this money thing, how you personally, like, as an operations manager, brings more money into the company.
There's multiple ways. First thing, we avoid waste of time. We avoid duplicated work. We avoid work being done incorrectly. And just in the end, where the deal is almost closed, that you find out that something in the beginning was not done correctly. And now you have 1, 2, 3 entire weeks of work that you're going to have to redo. Other than that, we identify gaps and flaws and bottlenecks in order to push you towards growth. So I think those are the two things that actually make more money for the for the business owner. One of them is reducing friction, reducing double work, reducing waste of time. And the second one is identifying where the business can actually grow.
When an owner of company is one who driving all ideas and all processes, every decision inside of it, what does it cost to the company and they cannot see it? How do you think?
When everything sits inside of the owner's head, we come to the same problem that we talked a few questions ago. The things they become their time becomes basically answering questions and making sure everyone is not messing up. Let's say like this, because when everything sits on your head, what costs for your business is your employees not feeling ownership and not feeling confident about taking full responsibility for what they are doing, taking full ownership of what they are doing, because they don't really know. They don't have this knowledge. They don't have the knowledge is all inside your head. So I think this answer is really horrible.
Hard, yes.
Sorry.
No problem.
It's because I'm having a hard time finding the words that I
Mhm.
want in English.
Okay, maybe you can use a translator on your phone, by the way. You can check with Claude or something. No
Just one
problem,
second.
we have time.
Yeah, because sometimes you know what you want to say, but it just
No,
doesn't translate.
yeah, that's why I prepare this whole question before, because if I do it like just from my brain, I will lost everything.
I also prepare, but I already forget. I think maybe if I can find it over here.
It's gonna be last question, and then it's the easiest part. So we're almost done.
Okay, now I found the word that I was looking for it.
Okay,
So
yeah, start from you.
what happens when the business owner only keeps the entire business inside their head is because is that they become the bottleneck. They stop being owners and they start being basically so everything that happens to move forward needs to come through their approval. And this creates delay into the entire process, which leads to the team losing confidence because they don't have ownership of their own tasks. And then knowledge starts disappearing because you keep everything in just one person's head and is not spread it around the company. So your employees, they don't have enough confidence and ownership, and you become a bottleneck instead of worrying and thinking about your business growth. You are the one that is just answering questions and making every little decision move forward instead of just trusting your team because you have a clear system that you know they are going to follow.
I think it's happened when person really have some trust, maybe also issues, because it's no possible if you're owner to keep all processes together. I mean, you want to make it because it's your baby. You're very, very worried about where it goes. But if you want to grow, if you want to build a strategy for future for your business, you need to let it go for sure, 100%. And finally, our first favorite part. It's very easy questions you need to answer only with one word. Don't think a lot because it's a quick fire, like short question, short answer, like 1 or 2 words, small phrases. It's just to check what you think, what came first to your brain. Tell me when you're gonna be ready. I am reading the question. You give me short answer.
Okay, you can go ahead.
How many processes or tasks are you usually touching in one week?
Too many for me to count.
Okay, I believe you. I can imagine. Favorite part of this work?
Mermaid diagrams.
What is it?
The mermaid diagrams, they are the diagrams we create the workflow. They are cutie and they are colorful and they are really fun to make.
A workflow map, this part of
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, interesting. One more common thing an owner is doing manually that they should have handed off months ago.
I cannot think in anything. It's because for my business thing this owner does, he actually needs to do. It's hard.
Ah, for his business, he should do
Yes.
everything his own.
Yeah, everything, but what he does, he already should be doing because he's the own advisor. There's not much for him to delegate, you know?
Oh, okay, but he already delegate. Like he have you finally in his team. How many people do you have in this company? This who you work with?
4.
Four. Because we had one who is only 2 person, so I'm curious who can beat this record. What does an owner underestimate most about getting their business out of their head?
They think that taking the business out of their hand will just make things flow smoother, but it actually is going to what's going to push them towards success.
Okay, and the last question. One thing you wish every business owner understood about working with operations manager.
The more information you guys give to us, the better work we can do.
I fully agree. Milena, thank you so much for this podcast. It was very interesting and pleasant conversation for me. Also, we're gonna finish our episode and I want you to say like some final word to business owners who watching us right now. Maybe some your insights after our conversation, please.
So thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to speak with you today. And for all the business owners that may be watching us, I want to say that if you never had an operations manager in your business, you should definitely try it because it's going to save you so much time and it's going to make your company escalate so much that you're going to ask yourself why you didn't did it early.
I fully agree with you. Thank you so much, Milena. It's a really nice episode. So, guys, if you want an operations manager like Milena installing the systems that keep your business from falling out of the crack, go to hvirtualassistants.com and book a call with us. Thank you so much.